The last thing that we need to do is we need to actually total up all of the x's. We need to total up all of the y's. So I put a little star next to my fx total. And what I did up above in my math, where vector 1 was the x part, I put a star next to it. In vector 3, it had an x part, so I put a star next to it. In vector 2, there was no x part, so you'll notice there are no stars there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the two star lines together. Okay, add the two star lines together. And I'm going to do two different things. I'm going to start with the calculator answer. So I have 3394.11 for my star fx on vector 1. So I'm going to put that on the line, 3394.11. And that was a positive. So I'm going to put a positive there. And then on my fx3, this vector x is a negative. So I'm going to put down a negative 3394.11. So that's my calculator answer. I'm going to do that math right there. And if I do that math, I end up getting 0. Okay? So I incorporated the signs in both the calculator answer here and the calculator answer here to find out my total. Remember, I don't want to use the rounded off numbers until I actually end up at the end. Notice I ended in grams. That's really important. Now let's total the FYs. On the FY total line, I put a dot. So I went through and put a dot next to all the FYs. Vector 1 had an FY, vector 3 had an FY, and vector 2 had an FY. So I put a dot next to all three of those. So now what I want to do is take my calculator answer and the sign. So this is a positive 3394.11. And my vector 3 is also a positive 3394.11. And my vector 2 is also a positive 2400. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add all of those numbers together in my calculator because they are all positive. In my fx total, remember one was plus and one was minus. Now that's really important. What does that mean? That the x going this way and the x going this way balanced each other out. In English, the tower's not going to tip over. It should equal 0. Now I want all of the y parts, the pillars, and then even when you're at an angle like this, it has a small part that's still pushing up. And when you're at an angle like this, there's a small part that's pushing up. So I want to take all those up parts, all the components, and vector 2, and I want to add all those together. So that's what I'm doing. So I have 3394.11 plus 3394.11 again, plus 2400, and I'm going to get a calculator answer right here. My calculator answer is 9188.22, and it's positive, of course, because all of those were positive. I have to round that off to one significant digit. One significant digit is going to give me a positive 9,000. So here's my question. Would this get approved in my class right now and get you straws? The answer is no way. And the reason the answer is no way is because remember, your Y total has to be bigger than 13,620 grams. If it's not, you need to go back to the designing table and redesign. Now remember, I told you I'm doing this on purpose. I purposefully designed a tower that was not going to hold 30 pounds, so you couldn't copy my work. So this would not be approved. You would not get straws, and you would be told you need to do something else. You got to add some more pillars. You got to add some more X's. You need to change your design. So that's where that worksheet that we worked on earlier is going to come into play. So once you have the worksheet done, and you have your math done, and you can prove that your total is bigger than that 13,620, then and only then will you get your straws. And the reason again for doing that is because I want to make sure that you aren't wasting McDonald's straws. Remember, they generously donated them, and we're actually going to send them a thank you note when we're done with this particular project. I want to make sure that we use them conservatively and wisely. So when you get your straws, please be very careful with them and make sure you're measuring and you know how many you need halves and how many you need wholes. Do all that thinking ahead of time, please. Couple of other side notes. When you get your straws, one thing that really bothers me is when students are inconsiderate. Please immediately take off the straw wrapper, and you notice that I'm peeling the straw wrapper off and pulling the straw out. I would highly recommend doing that as opposed to taking your straw and ramming it into the table, because you're going to bend it if you take your wrapper off that way. And then you're going to be out a straw and you're going to be upset with each other, and you probably won't get a new one if that's what you were doing. So you're going to want to be very gentle and very careful. My other pet peeve is that this wrapper needs to be thrown in the trash immediately. There are to be no spitwads in the room. Mr. Farron, if there are any spitwads, everybody in the room gets a 0. So there better be peer pressure. If you see anybody doing anything like that, you better jump on them, and jump on them now, and I pretty much mean literally. Okay, no spitwads. These go in the trash immediately, please and thank you. And then you're going to start to build after you've proven that your design will indeed hold that 30 pounds.